Hey guys, welcome back to part 3 of building my malware lab. Today we're going to focus on the automatic deployment of resources. We are going to create a Gitlab.ci, and that is going to manage all of our automated deployments, and we're going to add some other things that facilitate that. So to begin with, we are going to make a Docker file. We can see we're in our repository. Nothing has really changed. Make our Docker file. We're just going to type Docker file, and inside this file, we are going to set the image. I like using Nix because it's really easy, so I'm going to use that. We're going to install Azure CLI and OpenTofu, and the command is just bin sh. We can save that. We are now going to create our Gitlab CI. That is going to contain 3 stages: a build, a deploy, and a destroy. The variables that we are going to need to use to facilitate the different stages. The image name is going to be the image name of the Docker image that we build. TFN automation just makes OpenTofu know that in automation mode, so it will do whatever it needs to do. And that the state name, we're just going to set this as malware lab, and the CI/CD pipeline ID that allows us to create multiple deployments at once without interfering with each other. There'll be a little bit more work required before it can actually do that, but this is the beginning. The HTTP address, this is what we're going to use to store the OpenTofu state in GitLab, and also the HTTP username and password for that same thing. The next thing we're going to do is define the build stage. We're going to use Kaneko to build the project. As far as I remember, this is deprecated, but I really like it, so I'm just going to keep using it. The stage we're going to set is build. The image is Kaneko with the entry point of blank. This is to stop Kaneko's default entry point from kicking in and doing weird stuff we don't want. We're then going to run the Kaneko executor, and then it's going to contain the context, which is the directory that we're in, and the image tag, which we've defined on 16 lines up. We only want to run this on push and on web because we don't want this to build every time we want to deploy a environment. The next thing we're going to do is the tofu apply. That is going to be in the deploy stage. The image is going to be the same image that we built in the previous stage, and we are going to run the tofu commands init and apply, specifying the backends for the GitLab server. We're going to run this on a schedule, and I will show you why we do that later. The last thing we're going to do in this file is define the destroy job. That is going to be part of the destroy stage. We're going to use the same image, the same backend, and we're going to run the destroy command. We are then going to run this curl command at the end, and this will essentially clean up the state file that gets created on init. For the rules, we are going to run this on a schedule, and we are going to delay this for 4 hours. This means that when we run the tofu apply, 4 hours later, this job will run and it will destroy the environment. This means that we never have any long-running malware environments, and everything is super nice and compact. We don't blow our budget, all that good stuff. There is one other change that we need to do, and that is to the main.tofu, and that is to add a extra backend for HTTP, and this will allow us to connect to the GitLab OpenTofu state management area. The next thing we're going to do is log into GitLab. Inside of our malware lab repository, we're going to go to settings, CI/CD, and we're going to go down to variables, and under the variables we are going to set the following CI/CD variables: Azure Client ID, Azure Client Secret ID, Azure Client Subscription ID, Azure Tenant ID, Chasm Allowed Source IP. We're making sure that we are prefixing each with tf underscore var underscore. This is a requirement, so OpenTofu picks up these environment variables and loads them into memory before it runs the deploy. To set the GitLab access token that we're going to need to clean up the OpenTofu state is that we go to access tokens under settings. We create a project state access token. It is going to be scoped with API, and the role is going to be maintainer. And then it will give us a project level access token that you then put into the CI. Once that is all done, we can commit and deploy these changes. As you can see, we have a pipeline, and it is currently only running the build stage. As you can see, the job has finished. It has built the image from the doc file and has pushed it to our GitLab registry. We go to deploy and container registry. We can see that we have Malware Lab. Now to deploy and destroy our infrastructure on demand, what we can do is go to pipeline schedules. As you can see, I've done something already, but essentially we would want to go to new schedule and you'll see a page like this. Under the cron time zone, you can put whatever you want. I put Auckland. The custom cron doesn't matter because we are going to keep it inactive. And for the variables, we are going to set the VM and the Chasm VM image and gallery names. This is all the same stuff. And then we're going to hit save changes. Now, whenever we want to deploy your virtual machines, all you're going to have to do is press run schedule pipeline. It will then tell you to go to the pipelines page, or you can just click this button and it will run the deploy and destroy jobs. As you can see, it is pulling down the image from our GitLab container registry, and we can wait until this has completed. As you can see, the job has finished running and has spit out the URLs that we need to connect to. Before we click into the Chasm site, we can go back to the pipeline and we can see that this is a delayed action. So this will tell us when the destroy job will run, and it is in 3 hours, 59 minutes, and 14 seconds, counting down. If we want to destroy our virtual machines earlier, we can click this unschedule button. However, be warned that when you unschedule it, it converts it into a manual action. And so you are going to have to remember to manually push the job. If we go back into our deploy job, we can click into the Chasm site URL. It will give us some more warnings, but we can just safely ignore that and we can log in to Chasm. Cool. We can see that we have logged in and we have our VMs that we can connect to. Now we can go back to our GitLab job. You can click on the pipelines And before I show you this, I can show you the Terraform states. So if we go to operate Terraform states, you can see that we have this state file. You can download the JSON and read through this if you'd like. All it does is track the state of the deployment, but this is where we now store that state instead of beforehand where we stored it on the file system. Now what we can do is demonstrate the destroy. So you can see that the job is going to run in 3 hours and 55 minutes. But what we can do is we can unschedule the job. That turns this into a manual action. So if I walk away from this, it will just stay manual and it will not trigger. You can run the job by clicking the run job button and it will create the job and run it. Cool. As you can see, job has finished running. If we go into the operate Terraform state, you can see that the state file is gone. If you go into our Azure portal and we go to virtual machines, we can see there is no virtual machines. Or even if we go into the resources, see all that's left are Azure VM image things and a public IP, which is probably something that I set manually, did not destroy myself. So I will quickly do that. Cool. I think that's really all that's left to show you for this part of the project. This will probably turn out to be a pretty quick video because it's a very straightforward deployment pattern, and next time we will work on something else. Potentially, if we are in the state to do it, we can look at analyzing and detonating a few pieces of malware. There's some interesting pieces of malware that has propped up over the past week or so, so it would be cool. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and I will do my best to answer them. And I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.